Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zenker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. Today, I'm always looking for different approaches and different ways of how we can help you to take back time, to be smarter. Today, we're going to talk about how you can recruit smarter with DEI inclusive marketing. And Michelle Ngome is here with me today, and she is going to tell us what that is. And she's got some great strategies that are going to help to make you more efficient and effective in the way that you market yourself as an organization. And we all know how important that is today and how difficult it is to find good people for the organization. Michelle, thank you for being here.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So what is DEI inclusive marketing? That's got to be my first question, because I was like, well, what's that? I love that you've got something different and a new approach to the marketplace. So let's hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to say that lots of times when we hear diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, D&I, we're always thinking about the HR perspective, hiring, talent management, all of the HR duties. And that's important. But as an inclusive marketing, I help organizations understand their messaging as well as their visuals when it comes to recruiting diverse candidates as well as their consumers.
If I'm understanding you correctly, it seems like the organization is very focused internally on this inclusion, but not externally, and really putting forth the best image and reflecting what and who they want to bring into the organization. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, absolutely. And what I try to help organizations understand is if you're recruiting diverse talent, also in the marketing team, that's going to help you create those diverse marketing campaigns for your consumers.
Absolutely. Awesome. We know, and I'm all about focus. Sometimes we get over-focused on one side of things and forget about without bringing the right people in. If you bring people who already embrace inclusivity and diversity, then that's going to come into the organization. If we're too focused on the organization and not who we bring in, then we're missing a big missing piece. So thank you for illuminating that for me. Maybe others, maybe that was clear, but I wasn't seeing this gap. That's pretty important. Do you find that to be so? Am I representative? Are you finding as you're talking to different organizations that they weren't aware of this gap?
I believe so. I actually have previous corporate finance background, and then I got into marketing. People are like, well, those are two different things. And I'm like, there's historical trends, historical data, those things tend to repeat. But with those careers, I've been able to identify gaps. And then, as I stated, history tends to repeat itself. For me, I look at how can we minimize this gap? And I'm a marketer, so I see things through a marketing lens, but it's also true in HR, IT, especially now with AI, different industries, because we're all trying to solve that diversity gap in one way or another.
Absolutely. As I know nothing about this, I hardly know what questions to ask. So tell us, what's the first thing when you go in to educate organizations this perspective? What's the most important thing, right? If they just have 5 minutes with them and that's all you have, and that sounds ridiculous, but you only have 5 minutes, what is it that you absolutely need them to know?
The first thing is, one, diversity is broad. What aspect of diversity do you want to focus on? And lots of times, especially with recent events over the past 2 to 3 years, we tend to default to race and gender when it comes to diversity. Nothing's wrong with that, but okay, if this is going to be the objective, then we can go through the plan. And I help organizations. I have a 5-point framework. And when it comes to inclusive marketing, I'm like, one, your content and your communications is the foundation. So your content to your consumers, your communication particularly to your employees as well as the stakeholders of the company. So how are you sharing messages? The second thing is, how are you recruiting diverse candidates? Your employee engagement, which is company culture, because you want to retain the employees. You don't want to have a high turnover rate. 4 is to consumers. And then 5 is to community engagement. So how are you getting involved in the community? How are you creating a talent pipeline? All kinds of pipelines, right? But how are you showing up in the community? And I think all of those have their own lane when it comes to marketing. Everything's not about digital marketing or traditional marketing as far as billboards and maybe a TV ad, but there's aspects of marketing in each one of those lanes.
It sounds to me like your framework covers kind of a 360-degree diversity look, because I was thinking at first that you were just saying external marketing, but it sounds like it's external marketing and internal marketing, knowing that there's a difference. And then that broader community piece of things is what I heard that I really think stands out and is really important.
Yes. And what I love about the community aspect, especially for small business owners, because they feel like I don't have a Nike budget or a Chase budget. But even if you create maybe a $500 or $1,000 scholarship to go to a high school student, that speaks volumes. If you
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. If you serve on a nonprofit board or volunteer for Habitat for Humanities or just anything within your community, your church, whatever the case may be, you're giving back in some shape or form. And once again, diversity is broad. Yes, race and gender are important, but there's other aspects that we need to tap into.
What are those other aspects? Let's just get a peek into what that looks like.
I think, what are you passionate about? What do you find yourself advocating? Climate change, that's part of diversity. Religion, culture, volunteering at your church or your place of spiritual worship, that's aspects of diversity. Maybe giving a webinar to an organization that probably can't pay your speaker fee. There's just so many things. And my biggest thing that I try to communicate with people, we all have skills, talents, gifts, things that we're passionate about that we do naturally. Now, let's just look, okay, this is my pocket. This is my network. Who are those groups of people that don't look like me that can benefit from this? That you can just, you know what, I'll come speak for an hour or I'll come volunteer for 4 hours one Saturday a quarter. So there's just little things like that can go a long ways.
Absolutely. I love the idea of donating for some sort of a scholarship. I think that's all of the ideas that you gave were great. That's just something that I had never really thought of that could be really powerful because it builds up the education.
Yeah.
I want to take a switch to recruitment because I think that's a hot topic right now. Finding good people is always hard. It's especially hard in these days. It's very competitive. But it is important that we have a lot of diversity on our teams because that's where creativity comes from. I believe that, yes, as it's been proven from Google's study that psychological safety is one of the top things that make high performing teams. But I'm sure that quickly behind that is being able to have such diverse perspectives that can help you make connections that you might have never made before. That's how we can optimize our organizations. That's how we can creatively grow and innovate. What are some tips to be leading the forefront with the DEI inclusivity from the recruitment perspective? Some things that people should look out for or pay attention to.
Yeah, so I think the first thing, you really have to understand, where does your organization stand when it comes to the current workplace environment? Are we remote, hybrid, or in the office? That is a major factor for the organization as well as the candidates. And so what does that look like? Now, if it's remote, obviously the pool of applicants open up so you can take people nationwide. But if not, let's start small and then all of this can be duplicated. So for example, if you are a recruiter, maybe you already have your top 2 schools, universities that you recruit from. How can you look at maybe Hispanic serving institutions or historical Black colleges, minority-based universities, and do recruiting there? I did a workshop not too long ago, and this guy was in operations, and he was like, we constantly recruit from the same university, and it's cookie cutter.
So you get the same type of person, right? From even whether it's different races, it's still the same way of thinking because they're coming from the same way.
Exactly, right? So stretch yourself. What are some of the neighboring universities, be it in the city or stateside or even next door? I'm in Houston, Texas. Louisiana is a 3-4 hour drive from me.
So
That can
it's
be a
close.
very easy move for a lot of people. Consider that.
I just want to interject here for real quick to people who are listening. It's so easy to want to recruit and find a clone of yourself. I went to this university, so I'm going to go back to this university because I know everybody there is great. That's not going to give you the full level of diversity that could benefit your organization. So I do think that that's a really, really important point, that we have a tendency to want to seek out likeness when it makes total sense. But at the same time, that's not what's going to be best for the organization.
And look, I understand we're all busy. And when we're busy, we tend to just stay in our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Right?
Narrow-minded, right? The way we've always done things, for sure.
But if you want to be strategic and do something different, we definitely have to think and act outside the box.
Absolutely.
The second thing I would mention, especially when it comes to mid-level and executive level professionals, this is the time you really want to do your homework and tap into professional organization. Tap into, because they have the network. They're going to be able to share that within their members, be it locally or nationwide. More importantly, a lot of those individuals, they're probably not even looking on Indeed or LinkedIn. They might be comfortable with their current job, but if they get this email from this association that they're paying $100 a year for or whatever,
they may perk up and be like, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah. Going through associations, that's a great idea.
Or if your organization is like, hey, we want to come out, we want to sponsor an event, we want to do a webinar, we want to speak at the event. And then it's, okay, I've never heard of this company before, or I'm learning more about this company that I always see. And then you get that substance, and then people are able to inquire because there's a ton of jobs. And sometimes people just start applying blindly. But if you're building
a relationship, got it. Absolutely.
I say the middleman, meaning the organization, that information is going to trickle down to the members.
Sure. I like organizations too. I like to go speak to associations of the broad membership, and that can bring in a lot of different speaking engagements and things like that. So absolutely. I see that the broad relationship building that creates. Let me switch to a point around messaging. How do you include the DEI inclusivity marketing aspect in the messaging? Like, how should my messaging differ so that I'm attracting the right people, a diverse set of people?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Now, I do want to say it really does depend on your product or service. For example, I worked with a nonprofit organization, was membership based. There was monthly fees, monthly or annual fees. And one thing was they did a lot of great work in the community. But for example, when it came to membership, it would always show a white family, husband, wife, 2 kids. Come here, we're here to serve. And then
so
when
it's like in the pictures that they use, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
Pictures and even language, right? But mainly pictures, because lots of times we're just scrolling. But when it came to, if you need help, we have childcare, or if you need health screening, it would show overweight Black people or overweight Black women. And there's just a major difference on how they're marketing things to these 2 different family groups. And there's plenty of Black people that have disposable income, that have families that can participate in this organization. And there's plenty of white people that need to do health screenings as well.
Right. From their images, they're making messaging, right? That is a message. Your images are messages, and you're bucketing people, and it can turn people off, right? To the other services, seeing, it's not a fit, or absolutely.
And then just being mindful of your language. Lots of times we say single parent or single member household or things of that nature. But when you describe yourself, your organization, as a family organization, I think we have to understand that family means a lot of things for a lot of people. So when you're singling people out with language, that can be a turnoff.
That's a fantastic point. I never thought of that either. I think that this is enlightening because we don't know what we don't know. We're not conscious of some of those messaging that's been there forever, probably. And that makes total sense, is that you're, again, showing your biases and bucketing through your language. So you really have to challenge when you're reading through your language to say, put your hat on of different types of families, like you said, or different backgrounds and so forth, and see how they might perceive that when you read that through or look at those pictures.
Exactly. And the thing is, once again, I know we're all doing our best, but that's the importance of having a diverse team. Or in this case, a diverse marketing team, when you have people of all types of backgrounds and experience that can speak up in the meeting and be like, hey, we need to correct this, or here are some other options. What's going to read better when we put this out there?
Totally. But what's funny is, so I was a single mom for a long time. I did just get remarried, so I guess I can't call myself a single mom anymore, but I never would have thought of that. But it is true. What does that matter? What I mean? Putting language out there that, so what if you're a single parent or you're still a family?
Yeah.
You do sometimes see things where I have to put on a thing, whether I'm single or whatever. And I'm like, what does that matter to this? It is a little offensive. So what that I'm single?
And once again, my client, their brand was a family-oriented organization. Now language is really iffy because you're isolating people. And I don't know if I belong. I don't know if I see myself. Right. I already feel bad because of my situation. Maybe I went from 2 income to 1 income, regardless of the circumstance.
That sensitivity. And I like what you said. It's about, you want to make people feel like they belong. And so you have to be thinking about what creates belonging, what language is going to be not offensive, but I hear what you're saying is just might have somebody question, well, maybe that's not for me. Maybe that's not what they're looking for and that kind of thing. So that makes a lot of sense. Let's say I'm a consulting company and I'm looking to recruit more consultants. So I'm picking a service business because sometimes I think when they say we're looking for a diverse set of people or whatever, I think sometimes you don't believe it. Do you know what I mean? Okay, you say you're looking for diverse. Could there be something better that we could be saying that's more attractive?
Oh, man. That's a good question. I think once again, it's opening the language, right? Unless we want to say every single thing, right? Black, Indigenous, people of color, people with disabilities, neurodiversity. That's one way of doing it. But I think across the board, it's pretty much diverse. Like even now, a lot of people don't like the word minority, but it's still a valid word. It just depends on the context.
Right. No, the reason I say that is because there's so many, we get desensitized to certain things. Even something like, how are you? You're walking and you're passing and you said, how are you? Do you really care? You're passing me. You don't have like a half a second. I can only say good. What if I'm not good today?
Right.
What if I want to say, actually, I'm having a really bad morning. Can I talk about it with you? So it's a greeting versus an actual question that you want an answer to. Not how are you, but it's really good morning. I think that there are certain phrases and words that we've been desensitized to that we really don't hear them for what they're meant to be. That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah, but we can tell. I mean, you can do your homework. You can go to the website, go to the leadership page. What does the leadership look like? You can challenge, if you're feeling bold, you can ask those questions in the interview if you get to that stage. And I also think some companies are very transparent when it comes to those details on their website, not necessarily the job description, but on their website.
That's another way for you to communicate is to make sure that you're putting different things about yourselves on your website so that people can see where those words actually come to play.
Yeah, words.
And you said whether it's having a daycare or, right, it's through those types of things, the activities that you do, the charities you sponsor, all of that's on their website.
The overall company culture.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much. We could keep going on and on, but I have learned that people have an attention span, and now apparently it's less than a goldfish. I think we're at the end of our attention span with people. I ask everybody on the show this question, and I'm curious from your perspective, how would you define productivity and why?
Oh, yes. So I would define productivity by getting stuff done, starting with the revenue generating activities, whether you're working solo, collaborating, or delegating.
All right. Awesome. Spoken as a true businesswoman there, right? I love it. Great. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel is important to share?
I think the most important thing when it comes to just the overall diversity talk, we're all in different places in our journey. Just remain open-minded, keep learning, and keep teaching.
All right. Fantastic. Michelle, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for being here. I think this is a really important discussion to understand that there is so much more, right? It's not just internal, it's not just external, it's the community and how you embrace diversity. We heard that it's also not just race and color and religion, right? There's so many different parts of diversity to think about as you're creating a diverse culture in your organization and striving to be more collaborative and be more creative and innovative in the way that you move forward in your businesses. So thank you all so much. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.